Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started. Rhea Ripley showed off her impressive physique on social media ahead of WWE Survivor Series. The Eradicator will be competing in the Women's War Games match at the Premium Live event this Saturday night in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. The former Women's World Champion took to her Instagram to share a video of herself working out ahead of the PLE. Ripley showed off her impressive physique and noted that she was always working to improve. You can check out the video in her Instagram post below. Rhea Ripley suffered a fractured orbital bone last month but returned to WWE Raw on November 18th. She will be teaming up with Bianca Belair, Io Sky, Naomi, and Bayley in the Women's War Games match this weekend. Liv Morgan will be on the opposing team, and the two stars got into a war of words with each other earlier today on social media. Former WWE manager reacts to Rhea Ripley's new look. Wrestling veteran Dutch Mantel recently shared his thoughts on Rhea Ripley wearing a protective mask due to suffering a fractured orbital bone. Speaking on Sportskeeda Wrestling's Smack Talk show, the legend noted that he was a fan of her mask. Mantel stated that it gave Rhea Ripley a different look and was enjoying the storyline ahead of Survivor Series. I liked her mask. The cover for the face. It gave her a different look too. I enjoyed this segment too, because at least it made sense. Even if you go back and put it together in context, it all makes sense. Of course, you're shooting for the pay-per-view in 8 days, so they're pulling all these pieces and putting it together, so it all fits neatly on the PPV. I think it's going to work. I enjoyed it. Good show. One of the better shows I've seen in like a month or two, Mantel said. 40:08 40:50. Bianca Belair defeated Nia Jax in the main event of this past Monday's episode of Raw to earn the advantage for Ripley's team at WWE Survivor Series. It will be interesting to see which team wins the Women's War Games match on November 30th. As the weeks rolled by leading up to WWE's highly anticipated War Games pay-per-view, fans were buzzing with excitement about what could unfold at the chaotic event. The one name on everyone's lips, however, wasn't just one of the warriors locked in the brutal steel cages. It was Rhea Ripley, the powerhouse of WWE, who had been building a reputation not just for her in-ring dominance, but for the sheer strength and athleticism she exuded in everything she did. As the final days before War Games ticked down, the tension grew. Rhea Ripley had become the centerpiece of the match, with a reputation that preceded her. She was the Raw Women's Champion, the first woman in history to hold the title while also being part of the Judgment Day faction, and, undeniably, one of the most physically intimidating women to ever set foot in a WWE ring. But this week, ahead of her biggest match yet, Rhea wasn't just preparing with training drills or mental fortitude, she was letting the world see the fruits of her labor. The Instagram post dropped like an avalanche, raw, real, and unapologetically Rhea. In the photo, Ripley stood tall in front of the gym mirror, clad in a black sports bra and matching workout shorts, her biceps flexing under the weight of months of dedication. Her muscles rippled in the photo, each curve sculpted by hours in the gym, with veins tracing down her arms like a road map of the grueling effort she had put in. Rhea's physique was a work of art, a product of discipline, sweat, and a commitment to being not just a champion, but a force of nature. The post captioned, "War Games approaches. Let's see who's ready to face this." It didn't take long before the wrestling world erupted with praise and awe. Fans and fellow wrestlers alike showered the post with admiration for her hard work. For some, it was the first time they realized just how intense Ripley's transformation had been over the years. Her rise to the top of WWE had been meteoric, but behind her reign, there was an unrelenting drive that few could match. Her physique wasn't just for show. It was an embodiment of the ruthless persona she had perfected over her time in WWE. Rhea's body was not merely sculpted for aesthetics, it was built to endure, to dominate, and to hurt. When she stepped into the ring, it wasn't about flexing muscles, it was about asserting power and proving she could go toe-to-toe with any man or woman who dared cross her. Whether it was lifting opponents into the air for a devastating riptide or unloading a brutal headbutt that shook the very foundation of her rivals, her strength was her weapon. But that post wasn't just about showing off, it was a statement. Ahead of War Games, Rhea Ripley wasn't just trying to intimidate her opponents, she was sending a message: I am prepared for whatever comes next, and no one is taking my throne. The preparation behind the physique. Rhea Ripley's road to shaping her physique had not been an easy one. Over the past year, her training routine had evolved into something borderline obsessive. While other wrestlers focused on mastering technique or storytelling, Rhea's approach had always been rooted in physicality. She understood the power of brute strength and conditioning, and how it would propel her to new heights. She wasn't just fighting for the titles, she was fighting for recognition as one of the most powerful women ever to step into the ring. She had worked tirelessly with a team of expert trainers, building a regimen that pushed her limits. From grueling strength circuits to endurance tests, Rhea's gym sessions were a mix of powerlifting and functional training, designed to enhance her wrestling ability. Squats, deadlifts, and heavy presses had become second nature to her, each lift contributing to the unstoppable machine that was Rhea Ripley. Her dedication also extended beyond the weights. Rhea had undergone rigorous conditioning, focusing on improving her agility and stamina. After all, a battle in War Games wasn't just about muscle, it was about surviving the environment. The steel cage, the weapons, the chaos, all of it demanded the ability to endure for long stretches. For Rhea, this wasn't a problem, it was an opportunity to prove she could stand tall when everything around her was falling apart. And the hard work was paying off. The photo was proof she wasn't just a champion by title. She was a champion by physique, by strength, and by raw power. But the real question remained, would this translate into victory at War Games? War Games, the ultimate test. The War Games match was set to be a collision of unstoppable forces. On one side, Rhea Ripley led her Judgment Day faction, including Dominic Mysterio and the ever-imposing Finn Balor. Opposing them were a group of rebellious faces, individuals who had refused to back down from the chaos that was consuming WWE, the powerhouse Charlotte Flair, the high-flying Becky Lynch, and the calculated Bianca Belair. The stage was set for one of the most brutal and high-stakes matches in WWE history. In the days leading up to the event, Rhea's physical transformation had been a major talking point among fans and pundits alike. Many wondered if her sheer strength would be enough to put her team on top in such a physically demanding match. Would her muscles allow her to carry the weight of her team's success, or would the brutal, high-risk nature of War Games prove to be too much, even for someone as strong as Ripley? For Rhea, the question wasn't about if she could survive, it was about how many people she could take down before War Games was over. She didn't just want to win, she wanted to dominate, to prove she was the best in WWE today, no matter what her opponents threw at her. And as she prepared for battle, there was one thing she knew for sure: the strength she had cultivated, both physical and mental, would be tested like never before. As the steel cages closed and the first bell rang, Rhea Ripley would face her greatest challenge yet. But as her impressive physique and unwavering resolve showed, she was more than ready for whatever the War Games match could throw her way. Rhea Ripley, a new era of dominance. As fans across the world continued to marvel at Rhea's transformation, it was clear she had become the face of a new era of dominance. It wasn't just her strength that made her dangerous, it was her vision of what a champion truly was. She wasn't just a wrestler, she was a force of nature, one whose body, mind, and spirit had been honed into an unshakable foundation. Whether it was in the gym or in the ring, Rhea Ripley had become the standard by which all other women would be measured. And as the countdown to War Games continued, one thing was certain: Rhea Ripley was about to rewrite the history books in her own image.